This question comes from Sarah Mind Body Fit on Instagram. Does stevia cause a problem with your Lyme? So sweeteners are something that I noticed very early on were not something that worked well with my body. And I found that when you have something like stevia, xylitol, or D-mannose, it is something that your body can't metabolize. Now, I particularly have problems with bloating in general, and when I have a sweetener, what happens is you're putting that in your system, you're eating it with other foods, and those foods start to ferment in your GI tract. And when you have a sweetener in there, it can really add to that fermentation process. And if your gut is already off balance and you have extra yeast in your system, you don't have as much good bacteria in your GI tract as you could, and you may also have parasites in your GI tract, it's going to just amplify all of that. Now, our body, our cells cannot metabolize that sugar that comes in, like with stevia, for example. It's when we eat it, our taste buds say, ooh, we're having something sweet. Same as it does with something sour, something bitter, something astringent. And it sends a signal to our body to start creating enzymes to metabolize that. And you can imagine this, like if you think of a lemon right now, like my mouth is instantly watering. Just the thought of a food can create a response in the body. And in that mouth watering from like the thought of a lemon, your enzymes are being created in that saliva. And that saliva is swallowed and then goes down into your stomach and down throughout your entire GI tract. And so if your body is producing something in order to metabolize that sugar, and then the sugar is not being there is no sugar to work with, there's nothing to break down, then those enzymes are just like hanging out and they're not having the chemical response that they're supposed to have in your system. So it can cause other problems within the system. Also, the bacteria from eating stevia, the bacteria in your gut can break down this into a different process. It's not something that your cells can absorb, but the bacteria can start to break it down, which can cause the fermentation process that is part of that whole fermentation, that bloating that occurs within the gut. If you're eating, like, fruits are the biggest thing that our gut is going to ferment in general, especially raw fruits. They have the highest levels of histamine, and then they also are, if you think about alcohol, like making alcohol, if you have fruit, like a lot of alcohol is made from fruit. Wine is made from grapes, and brandy is made from, oh geez, now I just got myself stuck. What is brandy? I can't even think. Cherries, I think. Or maybe that's sherry. I don't know, bad example. But they're all made from fruit. So when those break down very easily into sugars, they are very sweet. So you can see just by the sweetness in it that they already contain their own sugars. So if you eat, and another layer to this, let's say you eat something very heavy, you have something that's going to take a long time to process through your system. You have meat, you have beans, you have breads, you have something that's very, very heavy that is going to take a little bit of time for your GI tract to break it down, for your stomach to break it down. It's going to empty out of your stomach at a slower rate than fruit would. Fruit's going to go through very quickly. There isn't that much for it to break down. So let's say you eat a meal of like all these heavy foods. You have some mashed potatoes and some meats and some beans, and then you have fruit for dessert. And you're thinking, oh man, I'm having fruit for dessert. This is so healthy. Well, what's happening is you're putting this food that's very stuck and stagnant, this heavy, heavy food, and then you're putting this fruit on top of it that is just sitting there on top of this heavy food that's going to take a long time. So this fruit would, if eaten first, have just moved right out of your system very quickly. Now it's sitting on top of this heavy food, and now it's going to start to ferment up here above this heavy food. So it's going to start to cause this bloating effect as it's being essentially like plugged up with this heavy food. So eating in an order of digestion that serves your GI tract is also like a huge help. And even eating sweets, if you're going to eat sugars, eating those before you eat your meal, it's exactly what your mom tells you not to do, is actually going to be more beneficial because those sugars are not going to be sitting on top of that heavy, dense food here, and they're sugar. So they're going to start a fermentation process. So if you eat that first, then your heavy food above it, that is going to work through, and it's not going to be sitting on top of it just fermenting away and causing your GI tract to expand as your stomach gets bigger and bigger. So when you have stevia, it or any of the other sweeteners that you put in there, it's going to contribute, sitting on top there, it's going to contribute to that. And even if it's just mixed in, if you eat it all kind of in the same setting, your stomach doesn't really know what to do with that, and so it starts to ferment in there because it's like, wait a minute, this heavy meat and these things, we need to take a long time to process this. We got to break this down so that you can actually use the nutrients from it, and it can process through your system. And then these other ones, it's going, but wait, this one, we have to expel this fruit. This one's already done processing. But if it empties out your stomach, it's just going to empty it all out. So you can have it's stuck in there and cause like major bloating, or you can have it move out too quickly and then you have diarrhea. So there's multiple things that come with the order of food, and this totally goes against what we've entirely been taught about nutrition. Simply eating foods that go together well can really, really help with your process of digestion. So that's I just don't eat sweeteners in general because they have never done well with my body, before I even knew like the science behind why. And then as I started learning more about it, I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. So if you have a question and you would like me to answer it, please leave it down below. I would love to hear what your questions are, and I really love talking to you guys, and yeah, getting in these really cool science, getting into this stuff with people. So I love it. If you like this content, please give me a like. It shows me that I'm doing stuff that people are interested in, and it helps with the algorithms, which get the videos out to more people. And subscribe if you feel called to. All right, have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.